Hello and welcome. My name is Jeffrey Kennedy and welcome back to another episode of Elliott Wave Junctures. Today we're going to be looking at a price chart of the dollar Swiss actually. And the reason why is because I believe this to be a very good example of an impulse wave. What exactly is an impulse wave? Well, many of you already know what an impulse wave. Some of you may not know what an impulse wave. The Elliott wave principle essentially is a form of technical analysis based on pattern recognition and crowd psychology. With respect to the pattern portion of the principle, there are 13 specific patterns, technically speaking. But if you exclude variations of those patterns, for example, with respect to triangles, you have contracting triangles, expanding triangles, barrier triangles, running triangles. Well, if you exclude variations of these of the triangles and just say, okay, triangles is a group, what you essentially have is instead of 13 specific patterns, you essentially have 5 core patterns. Now, of the 5 core patterns, you essentially have 2 groupings, motive waves and corrective waves. Of the motive waves, you have 2 types, impulse waves and ending diagonals. Of the corrective waves, we have zigzags, flats, and triangles. The price chart in front of you, I believe, is a very good example of an impulse wave, one of the motive waves. Okay, here's the labeling I'm actually showing here. And as you can see, I have waves 1, an expanded flat wave 2, here's my wave 3, pullback in wave 4, and then what we have here is a small 1, 2, 3, running triangle, 4, 5 up into the high. Okay, now why do I say this is a textbook example of an impulse wave? Well, number one, clarity. For example, we can just basically look at this price chart and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and see our fifth wave move to the upside. So we do have clarity. But more importantly is the adherence to the rules and guidelines of the wave principle. And what I'm referring to, and let me erase these lines real quick, is the rules and guidelines of the wave principle. The more prevalent, I think that increases the probability and the clarity of the pattern and also the credibility of the pattern. For example, we have 3 primary rules with respect to an impulse wave or the formation of an impulse wave. Okay, number 1, wave 2 can never retrace more than 100% of wave 1, and in this instance it does not. Wave 4 may never end in the price territory of wave 1, and as you can see here, it does not. And then with respect to the impulse waves of waves 1, 3, and 5, wave 3 can never be the shortest impulse wave of waves 1, 3, and 5. And again, as you can see in this instance, it does not. Okay, now let's look at a few other things that I think increase the credibility of this being an actual textbook example of an impulse wave. Well, as we know from, say, a Fibonacci perspective, one of the most common or the most common Fibonacci relationship between wave 3 and wave 1 is a 1.618 multiple. Well, here's my wave 1, and if we multiply wave 1 by 1.618, that comes up with 9254. Well, look where wave 3 traveled to and then reversed from. Here's 9254. So we do indeed see that ideal proportion of 1.618 between waves 3 and wave 1. Okay, next we see this move here. Okay, and you'll also see the line at 9521. Well, as it says in the book, and this is a guideline, the guideline of wave equality. Whenever wave 3 extends, wave 5 and 1 tend toward equality. Actually, whenever within an impulse wave, whenever one wave extends, the remaining 2 waves tend toward equality. For example, if you have an extended first wave, then waves 3 and 5 tend toward equality. If you have an extended third wave, then waves 1 and 5 tend toward equality. And if you have an extended fifth wave, then your wave 1 and wave 3 will tend toward equality. In this example here, as you can see, wave 5 and 1 tend toward equality at 95.21. That's where the market traveled up to and then reversed from. So there's another adherence to a guideline that I like to see. So we have a nice ideal Fibonacci proportion. We have a guideline which is being adhered to, and also too we have the guideline of alternation being adhered to. Notice too, wave 2 is an expanded flat. Okay, that's what we refer to as a sideways correction. Flat, expanded flats, and triangles are sideways patterns. And essentially, with respect to the guideline of alternation, the guideline of alternation simply states to expect a difference of expression in similar waves. So if wave 2 is a sideways move, then we can look for wave 4 to be sharp. If wave 2 is sharp, then we can look for wave 4 to be sideways. Okay, in this instance here, we have a sideways pattern, i.e. an expanded flat, and then that's followed by a sharp, i.e. a zigzag. So we have the guideline of alternation being adhered to as well. So again, with respect to this pattern in the dollar Swiss, I think it represents a very good quality impulse wave. And again, with respect to identifying patterns, I think with respect in various markets on various time frames, for me, it's always been a question of quality versus quantity. And this is an ideal. And this is a price chart here I recommend definitely printing off and saving, because this is what we like to see with respect to an impulse wave, or whenever an Elliottician talks about an impulse wave. This is, again, this fits the diagram in the book quite nicely. Moreover, the price action and the subdivisions adhere quite nicely to the rules and guidelines of the wave principle as well. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.